Fear, shame, and guilt. Those are the topics that I'm constantly trying to get rid of, constantly trying to accept, constantly trying to cleanse, constantly trying to wrestle with, and accept that at some point I'll lose the fight. I'll never be able to win every single one of those the way I wish, but I'll never let go. I'll always be devoted to that challenge. There's a challenge with shame. We are taught at the youngest days of our lives to be ashamed of so many different things, right? It depends on which kind of family, which kind of culture you're coming from, but you've been potentially taught to be ashamed of disrespecting people, being ashamed of maybe being lazy, ashamed of your desires, ashamed of your sexual desires. Same goes with guilt. You've been taught to feel guilty. You've been taught to feel bad about canceling on someone. You've been taught to feel bad about saying no. In life, you have to say no to so many different circumstances. And that guilt, the teachings of guilt, carry over. And it's hard for us to say no to things. It's in fact an art to know when to say no, when to let go, when to accept things in life. And same goes with every other aspect of it. Regret is another one. Regret is potentially what drives us to make certain decisions in our lives, because we fear regretting something later on. And it's also the thing that stops us from maybe letting go of what needs to be let go of, because we fear regretting that later on. Regret is like a rotten bug. It's like rotting the roots of a tree, and we can't even see it. I have, with my own eyes, in my own experience, I've seen people who might even sell a car, and then they regret that choice, right? That we can regret some of the simplest decisions in our lives, decisions that should leave no room for regret. And it is only because we have allowed ourselves to experience these feelings. We have allowed ourselves to go so deep in our consciousness and in our subconscious to be able to express our psyche through these kinds of feelings and desires and regrets and guilts. At our core, we are simply animals trying to survive. At our core, we are a bunch of animals just trying to find food, finding something to eat at the end of the day, finding a partner to make love to at the end of the night. At our core, we are so animalistic that we shouldn't really even have access to these expansions of thoughts. These thoughts are expansions of our existence. That's what they are. And the only reason we have them is because life is good. It's because life is good that I feel ashamed, that I feel regret for something I did or didn't do, that I feel guilt for something I did or didn't do. It's because of these things that I fear saying hello to a stranger. We're not talking about fear in terms of going to battle and fighting to keep your loved ones alive. That is fear, indeed. We're talking about fear in aspects of life that should be non-existent. It shouldn't even exist to begin with. Yet, our existence, our minds, as beautiful as they are, as powerful as they are able to create these emotions, which I don't want to say they are false, because we experience it internally in our body. We experience the fear. We experience social anxiety and the fear that it causes in us. However, who we are in our existence, we shouldn't be there to begin with. We should have far deeper problems to solve in life. We should be surviving day after day, hunting for food. We gotta be way beyond these kinds of thoughts. And we're not. And that's okay. But what it leads me to is the understanding that these thoughts are quite simply a manipulation of our mind. They are, as simply as said, these kinds of thoughts, these kinds of emotions are only a result of the first world and the peaceful world that we're living in. This is not the medieval times. We are not watching people get slaughtered right in front of our eyes. So when I speak of peace, of course I recognize that there are wars all around the world and so many other cultures of people suffering. But you have to understand that in relation to our history, we are living quite possibly in the best time. And what does that mean for us? What can we do with this beautiful opportunity we've been given called life? What can we do? It is almost limitless. Of course it's not, but it feels like it. There's a beautiful field behind this camera. I can play football, I can go on a run, I can go teach music, which I'm about to do. I can learn a new technique, I can learn a new art form, I can learn a new language. There's so much for us to do. And the fact that we're not taking advantage of life second after second, let alone day after day, this allows our brains to create these kinds of emotional manipulations. And of course, every single one of these evolves from our childhood. I feel these shame. I feel these moments of shame, these moments of guilt and regret and fear because of the way I was raised. But it's time to let go. Adulthood is the time we unlearn. Childhood is the time we learn. Let's maybe say that backwards. Childhood is the time we learn, and adulthood is the time we unlearn. So I want to leave you with that sentence. Are you willing to unlearn? Because no matter how great of a childhood you've had, whether you were traumatized or you lived like a prince or a princess and everything worked in your favor, there are certainly lessons that you need to let go of. There are certainly beliefs that you need to let go of. And are you willing to unlearn? Thank you.